All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the official Paris Blockchain Week podcast. Today's guest is Charles Atkins, former president of Hedera, and now most recently CEO of the HVAR Foundation, which we'll get into. Charles has played a central role in expanding enterprise adoption of Hedera's hash graph-based technology, and now leads the foundation's strategy in driving tokenization, AI, DLT innovation, and scaling real-world blockchain use cases. All right, Charles, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you recently stepped into the role of CEO at the HVAR Foundation after serving as president of Hedera. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So what led to this transition, and what excites you most about this new chapter?
Yeah, I think so. You know, the transition, it was really fun being at the Hedera Governing Council for a year as the president. You know, I got to learn a lot about the governance layer on how we make network changes, how we do our voting, how we basically govern the network. And I think, you know, some of the challenges there is I'm always a person that wants to get out. I want to do business development. I want to do ecosystem growth. You know, so it's really difficult to do that from the governance layer. You really have to kind of move into more the foundation side of a blockchain and a crypto project. And so being at the foundation was kind of a natural fit. Moved over to the foundation in January, and now, you know, we get to do that. I get to go and do business development and help ecosystem builders with, you know, grants and investments and their go-to-market strategy. So it's been a very big change from network governance now to actually speaking to all the individual builders.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what are your top priorities for the HVAR Foundation this year?
Yeah, for us, we've really been focusing a lot on the AI space, obviously on the tokenization space, specifically when it comes to traditional financial markets. There's a lot of opportunity there, so we've been working on you know, a lot of tokenization efforts in TradFi, and just trying to find as many developers and builders as possible that want to build on the Hedera network. So we've been, you know, pedal to the floor, full steam ahead, just trying to be as fast as we can.
Amazing, amazing. So can you give us a quick elevator pitch on what the HVAR Foundation is and why it plays such a critical role in the Hedera ecosystem?
Yeah, the HVAR Foundation is really the kind of the activation organization where people come when they're ready to build a project on Hedera. They don't know where to get financial resources. They don't know where to start their development as far as, you know, where do we find the code? How do we integrate the technology? How do we have financial resources? And then, you know, what's the marketing that we should be doing for the actual Hedera community to really adopt our project and be excited about it? And so at the foundation, those are all the things that we do. Is you come in the door and we kind of take you from a founder business all the way to market.
All right, amazing, amazing. So now we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this interview, tokenization and AI and DLT. So from vision to deployment, tokenization has been a hot narrative. How is Hedera helping bring that to life in real use cases?
Yeah, so there's quite a few funds that have chosen to tokenize using Hedera, and a lot of that has to do with just the way that we actually have our settlement. So we really have real-time legal settlement of a transaction in 2 seconds, which in financial services and tokenization is something that you absolutely need.
Wow.
You can't really have probabilistic settlement on, you know, L2s or Ethereum-based chains. Sometimes they can take 3 minutes, 5 minutes to actually have a transaction settle and be final. On Hedera, 2 seconds or less, deterministic, it is final, legally binding contract. And for financial services and tokenization in particular, that's just, you have to have that to have a legally binding contract. So that's why a lot of people choose Hedera for tokenization.
Wow, that's absolutely insane. That is quick.
Yeah.
That is quick. So what industries do you think are ripe for tokenization in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, I mean, mostly we're seeing a lot of institutional money market funds. We see a lot of private credit funds that are starting to come online. Just anywhere where, you know, these large funds that are typically meant for institutions, they actually want to give the retail investor access We see a lot of that happening. We do see a lot in the real estate space. I will say the real estate space is a little bit slower than most of the others because there's a little bit slower on the regulation side. But Dubai is actually doing a lot with real estate tokenization. We see it in other parts of the world as well. So, I mean, that's a little bit slower, but real estate's close behind.
Yeah, we had Jonathan Farnell, the CEO of Freedex, on yesterday. He said that they're tokenizing uranium.
Yes, I've seen uranium being tokenized. Actually, that is the company I've seen that's doing tokenized uranium. I just left a panel that somebody is tokenizing diamonds, sapphires, gold. So everything, if it can be tokenized, it likely will be at some point.
Wow, that is insane. So let's get into DLT for transparent AI. Just quickly before we get into it, explain to everybody what DLT is, just because some people that are listening may not even know what it means. Everybody knows what AI is, though, pretty much at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's distributed ledger technology, or some people call it decentralized ledger technology. Hedera is actually a hash graph, where that differs from your traditional blockchain. Is a traditional blockchain, you settle in linear blocks over time. A hash graph kind of goes out just as the name would kind of indicate. It's a mesh or a graph, kind of a structure where all nodes know about all transactions instantaneously. So you don't have to wait for that settlement time. So it's just a little bit different. The way that transactions are settled is a little bit different.
Okay, amazing. So let's get into questions. So what are some of the most compelling use cases at the intersection of AI and DLT?
Yeah, I love that AI is coming into the market as fast as it is, because it really shows that DLT is needed in order to keep a lot of these models safe. So one of the things we see a lot of already is when people are building these large language models, small language models, any kind of AI model where you're going to have an agent or information in there that's going to be fed back to you. Essentially, you need to know that the data going in is actually verified and it's your data, or if it's someone else's data, how do you actually give them financial reward for providing that data to you? So right now we're seeing people, as they're building large language models, they're tokenizing each piece of that data. And let's say the model starts giving really incorrect answers, and you want to go back in and you now have version control over your large language model. You can go in, burn a specific token, reset the model, and you don't have to rebuild everything from scratch. You actually have some form of version control over an AI model, which is, it's when you get into these larger models, that actually becomes a pretty big deal.
Wow, that is super exciting. So how can blockchain infrastructure like Hedera help ensure trust, auditability, and data integrity for AI systems?
Yeah, I mean, that is a lot about what we were just speaking about, is just making sure that data is owned by the correct people, and if that AI model is using it, that it only stays within its own data set instead of drifting out to take public information or take, my email, your email, or anything you put online. And, let's say you've written a movie and the movie has already been produced, and all of a sudden an AI model starts taking all of your intellectual property. Well, obviously you've got two things you can do. You can either say, yes, you're going to use it, but every time somebody gets a result that has been, generated by using my data, you need to pay me. Or you can basically say, right now, if you don't have that data on chain, it's very hard to prove where all of that data actually came from.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild times. I mean, I'm kind of curious, what are your thoughts? Do you think AI needs blockchain more, or does blockchain need AI more at this point?
I'd say AI is making blockchain get adopted a lot faster because AI is a lot sexier than blockchain.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So let's talk about ecosystem expansion. How do you see Hedera differentiating itself in the broader Web3 and enterprise blockchain space?
A lot of it is once people start digging into the technology and you start actually doing comparisons around, what technologies actually fit for the future of ubiquitous computing. So when you get IoT devices on chain, when you start getting everything tokenized and you need real-time settlement, if you think about streaming payments, like if you clock in at work, you should start getting paid immediately. So streaming payments in and out, that really disrupts the way that credit is scored. So I think there's a lot of things on the ecosystem growth side when people see that, yes, this was originally built as enterprise-grade technology, and it just so happens that the everyday individual user can benefit from that infrastructure. People get really excited about that. It's like just like an everyday person going out and being able to use the same thing that a government would use as far as the technology stack. So it helps everybody.
Yeah, I love that. So are there any big initiatives, regions, or sectors the foundation is especially focused on right now?
I mean, AI, we keep talking about
AI.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't talk about AI, it wouldn't be a technology conference, would it?
Yeah.
So obviously the AI space, tokenization is obviously huge. I would say regionally, we're just really hoping for regulatory clarity in the U.S. over the next 6 months. I think we'll get there. Markets where there's massive adoption, obviously all of APAC, starting to see a lot in North Africa, Middle East. Those are the ones where you're just seeing a lot of growth. And I always use my phrase where I say, crypto and DeFi generally works best in the countries that the ATM doesn't.
Yes.
And so I think we're seeing a lot of those countries start to really fix their volatility issues with their currencies, and that's Latin America as well, by using crypto and pegging it to some kind of a stable coin or some kind of just stable issuance behind it. It really staves off a lot of that volatility in their own currencies.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was Jonathan Farnell yesterday at Freedex. He was talking about the Howey test in the U.S. and said it goes back to, I'm not sure though. He said lemon trees, but I don't know. Maybe it was orange groves. I don't know. But it goes back to something agriculturally based, which is insane.
That sounds about right.
Right? I mean, I
actually don't know where it started, but that sounds pretty accurate.
Right. So it sounds like the U.S. policymakers are probably incentivized to kind of refresh those laws and get them up to date with where we're at now, technology-wise.
I would hope so. Yeah, we're getting there.
Amazing. So, all right, this is the fun part of the interview, lightning round. So, quick questions. You can just give us really quick answers on these. First one, token or broken? Tokenization of real-world assets is finally taking off. What is one thing people still get wrong about it?
I think the one thing people get wrong is they will literally tokenize anything they can get their hands on.
Right.
And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Just think about the user at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't need to tokenize the 3 backpacks in this room, and you need to own 25% of that backpack. Just make it make sense for the customers.
Okay, I love that answer. Hash or crash? What's a use case for hash graph tech that's still flying under the radar?
Wow. I don't think we have a lot that are still flying under the radar, but I think a lot is, a lot of people are just now realizing where they're bringing the financial tokenization into the mainstream, the difference between deterministic finality and probabilistic finality, where we can create a legally binding contract that is regulatory approved in 2 seconds. And if you're building something on Ethereum and waiting for a block to settle and it's 3 to 5 minutes later, a lot could happen in 3 to 5 minutes if you got a powerful computer.
Yep, because quantum computing's coming.
It could get rough for some people out there.
Yeah, love that answer. Consensus or chaos? Fast finality versus decentralization. Can we really have both?
Yes. So that's the reason that I really chose to come and work at Hedera, is the scalability, speed, and decentralization has all pretty much been solved at inception. So that's not even something that we're really working on anymore, except for improving the speed and the throughput. And obviously we always increase our security, but we've pretty much already solved that trilemma.
Yes. Love that. All right, OG or OD, overdone. Which Web3 narrative needs to be retired like yesterday?
Meme coins. They've got to be, just get rid of those quickly. I mean, I know there's some cultural. I get that they're fun, but when you start getting the stories come back to you of, someone invested in a meme coin on another chain and they lost all their money, and then that person commits suicide, that's probably an overdone, to the extreme.
Yeah.
That's probably something that needs to be done.
Yes, I agree. HBAR or height bar? What's one way people are underestimating HBAR right now?
I think they're really underestimating our DeFi community. So, we've just been growing a lot on the retail side, and I think people are still underestimating how many players we have that are in the DeFi space. So we have Saucer Swap, Bonzo Finance, which is a lending borrowing protocol. We've got a lot of DeFi players coming into the space that are very crypto native. I think a lot of people discounted Hedera's kind of the degen community that we actually have out there, that they're doing things the right way, and they've been the ones flying under the radar, and I think that's going to come to light pretty soon.
I love it. I love it. Governance Gala. If you could invite one organization to join Hedera Governing Council right now that's not part of it, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, for those people that don't know, the Governing Council is like our major Fortune 500 companies. They give us advice and help us vote on network governance. I would say, I don't know. I mean, obviously you think of the big names, you think of the NVIDIAs and the Teslas of the world, you think of, I would just want somebody fun on there. Like, I would love to have the NBA or, cool. like a really cool sports team on there. But I mean, everybody gives really great advice, so it'd have to be somebody that really wants to learn the space. Say NVIDIA would be a cool one. That would be great. If they want to reach out, then please do.
All right, I love it. You heard it here. NVIDIA, call Charles. All right, last question in the lightning round. AI or DLT BFFs? Who needs who more? AI or blockchain? Are they soulmates or just tech coworkers who tolerate each other?
Well, I will say AI is helping the proliferation of blockchain, but it will soon become very obvious that AI actually does require blockchain to verify all the data, or things are going to get pretty messy pretty quick.
Yeah. Are a lot of the big AI players like exploring blockchain, or already kind of like,
they are
ensconced in it, or?
Yeah, so we have quite a few that we talk to right now. They're really trying to figure out the big issue around how do we verify this data going into things where we have an official version of our verified model.
Yeah.
Because right now you've got things like OpenAI out there just basically scraping the whole internet. Like, whatever's on the internet basically is coming up, and that's not going to work forever.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into Paris Blockchain Week insights. Is this your first Paris Blockchain Week? Or?
It is. I haven't been here before.
Amazing. So we'll dive into some questions about it. But what's the most surprising or inspiring thing you've seen at Paris Blockchain Week this year?
I mean, this has been incredible just to be in. I mean, we're obviously in a building that's deeply historic, talking about a technology that's brand new, and you think about just the dichotomy between those two things on how everything started from basically something small and then turned into something huge. And I think that's where we're kind of at right now, is being in a city like Paris and seeing all the history. And you want to at least hope and think to yourself, well, maybe we're here recreating history with technology and bringing something, cool forward. I would just say the amount of people here is just unbelievable. Just attending the conference, the excitement, the energy. Everyone is here. Literally everyone is here.
Yeah, I mean, I hosted it to their Web3 Day 2023, and the vibe is way different. It's just more mature, focused. Yeah. I feel like these are the real builders. These are the people that want to, that are getting real deals done and really moving the industry forward. So I think it's an exciting time. What's insight or takeaway from this week that builders and founders shouldn't ignore?
I mean, I think you just nailed it right there. The people that are still here and still showing up, these conferences are not just big parties anymore. Like, all of these people in this room, they have real questions that they want real answers to, because they're really exploring the space. And that's one of the things that's a big shift from like the 2020, 2019, all the way up to now. Conferences used to just be a big party. Everyone got to like reconnect and see each other. Now people want business to get done, and they are not joking about it anymore. I
agree. So what emerging trend are you most excited about post Paris Blockchain Week?
Yeah, I think tokenization has got me pretty excited when it comes to how many financial institutions are actually really digging into, like, Apollo with private credit, BlackRock, obviously they've had their Biddle fund forever.
Yeah.
But it's just, what that does is it's providing access to the general retail investor through tokenization on products that have never been available to everyday people like me and you. Like, you have to be an institution to invest in these products. And now, because of tokenization, it can be any of us. And that's just been really exciting.
Yeah. So let's just wrap it up here. Why don't you give everybody just a quick summary of the opportunities in tokenization, AI, DLT, and Hedera's roadmap for everybody?
Yeah. So on tokenization, I would say look for a lot more traditional financial institutions to tokenize some of their core products, make those available to everybody. In the AI space, you're probably going to see unfortunately, some pretty big mishaps happen in the AI space that's going to bring a lot of public ridicule to AI. And when that happens, I think that's when the big realization and the light switch goes off about, oh, hey, we should probably be verifying how our data models are built, and then blockchain will, again, be a part of that conversation.
Yeah.
DLTs, I mean, in general, there's, a lot of the crypto tokens you see out there are layer 2s or versions of Ethereum. I think we're now at 30,000 different tokens that are out there.
Wow.
Obviously, that's just ripe for mass consolidation or a mass exodus of projects that are just not serious.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you're going to start seeing the emerging players really come forward. We're already starting to see with a lot of the top 20 chains, especially, including us, there's a really big willingness to work together. Everybody is really trying to come together and say, okay, as an industry, we obviously can't go out and just be hyper competitive and talk crap about each other all the time. Like, we do actually need to work together to get this technology implemented. So the interoperability, the bridging, just learning how to work together in general is kind of a really big vibe that's been happening this year, especially. Yeah,
I think it was Omri Ross. I forget now, but one of the guests yesterday said that it's all about the collaboration. There's like, instead of fighting over like just a small slices of pie, why don't we all work together, create a bigger pie where everybody's going to win?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like the blockchain space and crypto space, we're just a fraction of the size of, somebody in the traditional finance space. So, I mean, let's say we do have regulatory clarity over the next 6 months, and people, the likes of like Meta or Amazon or these companies now they have regulatory clarity.
Yep.
Or Apple, for example.
Yes.
They have regulatory clarity where they can build in a wallet, they can build in a currency, they can put it all on a native device.
Yep.
And we've still got a bunch of crypto companies and blockchain people that are bickering with each other while Apple just eats everybody.
Yep.
And like, that's one of the things where if we don't actually collaborate as an industry, we're going to end up again, like this is exactly what happened with the internet. It started out decentralized, great idea. It came together, then just a handful of people ended up owning the internet.
Yep.
We're back here again because if we all just sit here and bicker with each other, regulatory clarity is going to come forward. Apple's going to put something native on their phone, and they will be the cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And that's just something, I mean, we just can't keep repeating this mistake over and over again.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. So final thoughts. What makes this moment in blockchain so powerful, and what role will Hedera and the HVAR Foundation play in shaping it?
Well, we're really seeing the regulatory clarity that we've been hoping for. And, a lot of the global markets follow some of the U.S. markets. So once some of that fear stabilizes within the U.S., from the macro markets, all the tariffs, when that gets kind of settled out, we focus back on crypto regulation, and that has some clarity to it. I think what we're really excited about is the global start adopting it more. They'll pay attention to it more because they won't see it as this like fringe activity. And, the HVAR Foundation, us in particular, we'll be there, ready for builders that want to build their business on the Hedera network, and we'll be supporting them all along the way.
Amazing. So what are the best ways for people to find out about all the amazing things that Hedera and HVAR Foundation are doing, and also the best ways to follow you and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so Hedera.com is the easiest way, or HVARfoundation.org. You'll find ways to apply for grants or implement the technology in whatever you're building. As far as me, you can follow me on X, LinkedIn. You can either search by my name, or typically my usernames are always Charles X Atkins. Pretty much on all the networks out there.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you, Charles, for coming on. Hopefully we can do this again, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Paris Blockchain Week.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. Perfect.